Ubisoft has managed to bring forth a whole lot of content in Far Cry 5. Due to the fact that that is the case and I've been playing for 3 days straight, this is going to be a should you buy it first impression review and not a full review, due to the fact that I don't feel like I'll be able to be done with this game in entirety for a long time. Now, before I begin and get into this review, I do want to say you can actually beat this game in 10 minutes. People were talking about it, and I'm going to let you know this is actually nothing new in the Far Cry series. However, if I beat the game and do that kind of trick where you beat it, then I don't feel like that's enough to say, hey, I beat this and this is a review. So let's keep it into the first impression area for now, and let's get straight into it. Should you buy Far Cry 5? This is my thoughts. Story. The story for Far Cry 5 is a little bit different than the rest due to the fact that for once this game takes place in America. The others in the series usually take place somewhere else around the world. This is going to take place in Hope County, Montana. You play a marshal who is traveling there to find Joseph, the head of a group called Eden's Garden. Now this is a radical cult who's been known to do things like kidnapping, killing, murdering, and all of these things. You simply have to go there and find out what's going on, and you have to bring this guy back. Now I won't get into too many details. That is like the first 5 minutes of the game. When you play it and see for yourself what's going on, you will understand why this is set up the way it is, and that is the narrative for what is supposed to be happening. So with that being said, let's move on to the next section without getting into spoilers. Controls. Okay, so the controls for Far Cry 5 are pretty much the same. You really haven't seen nothing new here. If you're familiar with Ubisoft in particular, any open world shooters, then you've seen this. However, they took what they've learned from other games and pretty much put them together in this one. You have the same traditional skill tree, which is called perk system, and you take perk points and you use those to unlock different abilities to do things like combat or whatever you think you feel like you need. Maybe you're into crafting, you want to traverse a little bit easier. But like I said, pretty much anyone who's played Ubisoft's open world games will be very familiar with what they see here, and you'll be right at home and you'll be able to do everything. I like the fact that with every game you see the innovation that they put into the control system, making it a little bit more easier or more intriguing to learn. Now the learning curve for the controls are there. There are things you're going to have to get used to, things you're going to unlock, and have to remember that you have unlocked them and get very familiar with leaning on these things. So that's one of the things they do in the game to make it where you do have to learn this system in order to make the game a little bit easier. As you progress, it does become more difficult, and learning these perks will help you to progress in the game. Now, as far as the actual mechanics themselves, they're a little bit clunky, but this is kind of nothing new. Like I said, in the Far Cry series, you have moments when you have to run and you have to press down on the left stick, and when you press down on the left stick, it feels like you stop running and things of that nature. This is just the nature of the engine and how it is. So all in all, I'm going to say the control scheme for the game is pretty good, intuitive, and fluid. It does have a slight learning curve for those of you who say maybe you're not as snappy or good with gaming. However, it's nothing serious. After a few hours, maybe one tops, you'll be right back to what you were doing before if you haven't played one of these games in a while. So overall, I'm going to give the control scheme a go in my opinion. I like it. I like everything they're doing, and it's very fleshed out to the point where you're going to spend a lot of time and hours unlocking the stuff there. So that's a go, and I actually like this. Who doesn't like a skill tree in an open world shooter like this? All right. So anyway, like I said, control scheme is on point. The mechanics are not that bad. Everything is pretty much smooth for the most part until you start getting into one of those run gun scenarios. Things get a little bit crazy. Now the physics for the cars, however, this is something that is pretty much standard in Ubisoft's game, and this is the same. If you play the last Far Cry, which is Far Cry 4, not Primal, the controls feel exactly the same. If you played Watch Dogs, the control feels a little bit better than those. Those needed to be tweaked in my opinion. So this game has the best mechanics, but they're not nothing out of the ordinary or above what you've seen in other games. That's the best way I can put it. So it's more of the same if you know anything about it. If not, you'll be able to do things. Now, they did tweak a little bit of how the mechanics work when you're driving, like when you can shoot out of a car and all of that. They made that a little bit more snappier, so you'll be able to enjoy a lot of combat, drive-bys, and things of that nature in cars. They made it where you can do a lot more while in the vehicle. So that is something I should note that I've noticed in this game that is different from the other Far Crys. You can pretty much do a whole mission inside of your car if you really get good at playing. You couldn't do that before. This game, you can actually do an entire mission inside of a car if you get that good at it. So overall, the controls are pretty good. Graphics. Now the graphics for Far Cry 5 is where you get a bit of a disparity depending on what platform you're on. Of course, you know this. Okay, so here's the breakdown on what's happening here. You have 3 platforms, technically 5, but you have PC being 4K 60, and then you have everything under that. You have Xbox, Xbox One X, you have PlayStation 4, and you have PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X and PC version is what I'm going to stick to, because I didn't go under 1440p. I captured the PlayStation version and spent most of my time on that, so that is the main experience I'm going to give you. I researched the Xbox One X version and also did my thorough checking on that as well. So I'm going to give you everything right here on the table. Okay, so PC, let's exclude them by saying PC is the only platform that is native 4K and it's 60 frames and above. So let's move PC to the side. If you want the best frame rate and graphics, of course you should know that's where you should be at. You shouldn't even be having a discussion about this. So let's just leave PC to the side. Now the Xbox One X version is coming in at 1800p based off the research I'm doing. That is the number I'm getting. The frame rate is 30 frames per second. The PlayStation 4 Pro version is coming in at 1440p, 30 frames per second, and that is the number I'm getting from my research as well and from what I've captured. Now, the reason I spend most of my time on the PS4 Pro version is because it was easier to get this review done on that platform, and I don't have access to the PC version, which would have been the easiest of all. So with that being said, out of the Xbox and PS4, that's the reason I chose that. Normally, I would go with the best graphical version. Okay, so Xbox apparently beat PlayStation when it comes to the textures. When you look at the ground, you will notice that there's slightly better textures on the Xbox One X version. This is not something that I would say is a reason to pick one over the other. However, if you know you want the best graphics, then that's the version you should get, the Xbox One X version. Now, PlayStation seems to have kind of offset this by doing something with the lighting, where it seems like there's parts where you get more lighting and visual effects, which sometimes look a little bit better as far as when you're looking up like towards the sky and things of that nature. But we all know when you're doing something like that in the game, it's not taxing on the engine or anything like that, so you can kind of get away with these trickery. So with that being said, the 1440p version and the 1800p version has differences, whereas when you're looking at the ground or the walls, you will see slightly more textures if you really look hard on the Xbox One X version. Now, it's not something to the point where you're going to say, hey, it's completely blowing it out of the water. You're not going to sit up here and actually get someone who's a fan of one console to say that that version looks extremely a lot better. It is a difference, but it's not that noticeable to the average person. So with that being said, if you're somebody that wants to co-op and you're on the fence about what platform to get it on the platform that you want to play with your friends on. With that being said, in my honest opinion, when it comes to the tier system, you have PC, Xbox One, you have PS4 at the bottom. But like I said, the game looks good on every platform that I've seen it on, and it doesn't look bad at all. Most people who are streaming it, if you go check it out, they're streaming it at 1080p, and it looks pretty good. So with that being said, I'm going to have to say it's all about the preference as far as what you choose to play on versus the graphics. The graphics are not a reason to pick one over the other, in my own personal opinion. Of course, like I said, on day one, this may change, and if so, maybe I'll do another video and maybe I won't. But the bottom line is I highly doubt it will change, and so far going into the day one release of the game, graphically, that is the tier system. Now, as far as the frame rate, like I said, 30 frames on both platforms. I don't see that changing. I don't see them putting a 1080p 60 frame version or any of that stuff. But if that happens, great, you guys will get a 60 frame version on console. However, if you want 4K 60 and above, you have to go to PC, and of course PC is going to have the definitive version as far as graphics and frame rate. With that being said, let's move on. Overall, should you buy Far Cry 5? There's a few things you got to consider here. Now, there's good and there's bad. So let's just get into it. Let's dig into it. This is where I do a full breakdown of everything we went through, and I tell you what I'm thinking, and you let me know what you think. Okay, if you are familiar with Far Cry, a lot of people were turned off by Primal. Let's just keep it 100 right now, right? Okay, with that being said, 5 returned to what you like. Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, the shooting, all the mechanics, everything you loved about those games is here. Now, what I'm gonna say is, granted, it is more of the same. There's not much that's gonna stand out to you as different from what you played before. This is just a new installment of that. So with that being said, it's gonna be all about how much did you enjoy the other titles. If you didn't enjoy the Far Cry series up until now, then you're not gonna enjoy this. This game though has a lot of good action, the voice acting, the graphics, the mechanics. It's fleshed out, a lot of content. The price you're paying for the initial game versus what you get is definitely a bang for your buck. That's not a question in here. The question is, how much do you like Far Cry? How much do you like Ubisoft's games? Now, me personally, I love third-person shooters, so I'm right at home. I'm good. This is a should you buy for me. This is a should you buy if you're into third-person action game, adventure game. This is it. This is what you want. But if you're somebody who just didn't get into Far Cry at 3, Far Cry 4, then you're gonna feel the same way here. And I can't sit here and lie to you and spin this in some kind of way that's gonna be different from that. This is the feeling you're gonna get all over again. As soon as you start playing this, you're gonna feel like, oh right, this is Far Cry, we're here. Now, even me at some points, I felt like the side quests, the fetch quests, the quest, period, the map, it's very intimidating and you feel like you're repeating yourself a lot of times. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. Even though there's a lot of content, a lot of it feels repetitive. So with that being said, how much do you like Far Cry? Because if you like Far Cry, you like those missions and you like doing a lot of the stuff, then you'll be fine. But I have to warn you, it gets repetitive. After a while, you go, hey, you know what? Let me put this down and go pick up something else and come back. That's not necessarily a good thing. So with that being said, I'm going to recommend that you do buy this game if you're a fan of Far Cry. This is definitely not something to say, hey, you know, just bypass it, skip it. But if you're somebody that just understands what I'm saying about the open world side quest sandbox situation where you're just doing a lot of the missions over and over, then you may want to wait on this as a purchase. But I recommend if you're looking for some good third-person action, this is the game to get. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me go to my outro. Whoa. Before you go, if you made it to this part of the review, you actually made it to the end. I just want to say thank you before you hit that button and leave. That's it. That's all. I'm not going to ask you for anything else. Other than to let me know what you think of the game. If you're getting it, if you're not, let me know why you're not getting it. And if you did, what platform, or what do you think of it? That's all I want to know, man. Enjoy. I'm out of here. Peace. And everybody be safe. Yeah.